year, two cornerstones of the New Zealand music industry came together. APRA and RIANZ joined forces to create the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame recognises those who have made particular and significant contributions to life in New Zealand through music. Those honoured by their peers in the Hall of Fame have broken moulds. They have been the first, the originators, the best. They have challenged, changed and entertained us with their music. To introduce our Hall of Fame inductees for 2008, will you please welcome a very fine tennis player, Mr. Ant Healy.
Thank you, Craig, and hello everyone. It really is my great pleasure to be here tonight. I am one of the luckiest people in the room. I get to work with an enormous number of wonderful people, many of whom are musicians and many of whom are here tonight. So those of you in the room who've written and performed the music that have made the soundtrack to our lives, we thank you. Tonight is a celebration of our songwriters, of our music, and of our musicians. Therefore, it's a celebration of us. Right now, though, it's time to induct a person, or persons, a band, maybe all of the above, into the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame. Whoever these people may be, will be joining two of the most loved musicians in New Zealand music history, Jordan Luck and Johnny Devlin. What a weird hall that is. But really it's pretty lovely company to be keeping. So who are they? Well, let's begin before the beginning. When I was a kid, musical siblings on television, well, it was Donnie and Marie. It was really a dark age of entertainment. Two Mormons with teeth the size of Kiribati singing, "May tomorrow be a perfect day." Well, tomorrow wasn't perfect. Jimmy Osmond joined them. It got worse. But throughout all this awfulness, in a small North Island community, a different kind of sibling act was entirely being born. A sibling act beautifully of and by New Zealand. Something quintessentially us. It all began with a debut performance of Walking in the Sunshine. They were kids, and they performed it with boaters and canes at a cousin's 21st party. The years that followed, they were relatively quiet. Life in rural New Zealand, performances at family gatherings, growing up, crushes on girls, an utterly Kiwi upbringing, with one telling twist, which we'll get to in a moment. Of course, during this period they went to secondary school, but it was music that they loved, and which began to increasingly dominate their lives. They ended up as young adults living in Auckland, determined with every fibre of their being to be musicians. Their first concerts are now legendary. No one had ever seen anything like them before. We were delighted, we were bewildered, and we were in love. I want to stop here for a moment and just remind ourselves what a very conservative country New Zealand was in the 1970s and early 80s. Rob Muldoon, bless him, was the Prime Minister. We were pro-US, we were pro-nukes. In 1981, the country slumped under the burden of the Springbok tour. Our morality and our social mores were so tightly prescribed that homosexuality, for instance, was effectively illegal until 1986. And yet the two people we are proudly welcoming into the Hall of Fame tonight wrote and performed protest songs. Utterly heartfelt protest songs. Protest songs that ought to have set them in the anti-establishment margins of what was referred then as our passionless country. But we loved them, and whatever our politics, we found ourselves humming their songs. And we crowded the footpaths, and we spilled out onto the roads to watch them busk. And their shows were sellouts, and we took to them in a way that perhaps even they did not expect. They might be the unlikeliest stars in New Zealand music history. Two yodeling lesbians from Hillington.
We like country music, it's a well-known fact. We've got everything that Kenny Rogers lacks.
The first time I saw the Topp Twins would have been around 1977. They were pretty fresh off the farm.
Australians are always looking for unusual opening act, and so we'd heard about the Topp Twins. I think we'd heard about them busking. Yeah, they were just friendly and pretty upfront, and regular dags.
First time I saw them live, it was perhaps 81, 82. Quite amazing times in New Zealand because, the rugby tour was on, there was a lot of people marching for various rights.
Then there's their political kind of nous, a little bit of satire and just taking the piss and just the humour, it's always fresh.
We sing country music, keeps us good and gay. That sure seems a lot of us are turning out that way.
And I sat there looking, I thought, this is fantastic, this is New Zealand, and here's two gay comedian yodelers taking the piss out of the cowcockies and everybody.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to teach all of you people here tonight to yodel. So when Jules and myself go into the yodel, what we want from you is just within yourselves, just a small inner pelvic movement.
You always knew that there was an edge to it, they were taking the piss out of things and they were quite fearless,
They actually come from the heartland of middle New Zealand. They come from the farm.
And how does the grass grow on your side of the fence? And how does the moon shine on?
And the Ken and Ken stuff, that just cracked me right up.
G'day Kenneth! Kenneth, this is Kenneth.
That sort of cut to the heart of anything staunch and conservative.
Sad dog, droopy-eyed dog.
Yeah, just the sound of their voices, it's very uplifting.
Their singing style is extraordinary for the harmonies they get.
Blood harmony, can't beat it.
And when you sing, you go la la la. And when you laugh, you go ha ha ha. You make me happy all the time. You do it now.
I think they developed a style of their own rhythm and their own kind of language. But that's a great framework for storytelling and finding humour and everything. So I think they do that very well.
And they'll sing
They're great singers, great entertainers.
There's
There's no one like them quite.
There should be New Zealand stamps with the Topp Twins.
And they'll sing yeah, that's home, sweet home to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, in their 50th year, that's 100 years of the Topp Twins. On behalf of Rians and APRA, it's my distinct pleasure to induct into the Hall of Fame the Topp Twins.
We'd like you people to know that we're in control here, thanks very much. Someone said to us tonight, and we kind of knew
They told us a little bit because we had to be here. And they said, what characters are you going to play tonight? And I said, oh, it's going to be really easy. We're just going to be 50-year-old lesbians. And that's a pretty easy character to play because, that's us, I suppose. We've had a wonderful career. It's been just sensational right from the word go. Linda's my best friend. And, we've had our ups and downs in the last couple of years. And we've pulled through. And I guess, it's the second coming now. All the time that we've been a part of this music world and this country, I guess, the songs we sang, talked about the protest movements and all those sorts of things, well, they were heartfelt. We sang songs about housing, we sang songs about the Springboks tour because we were there in Hamilton, and we feel proud about all those sorts of things now, and we went down and we slept at Bastion Point for hundreds of nights to make sure that man never got returned and all those sorts of things. We have this card at home and it's an invitation to the night that the Rainbow Warrior got bombed. We kept that, and luckily, we didn't go that night. So it might have been history then. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great ride. It's been a beautiful country. Our politics in this country are great because we can change them, and we must always remember that. As musicians, we have a really good, strong voice, so make sure that when you say something, you mean it. And I'm going to let Linda speak as well, because I'm sure she'll have something to say. But thank you very much. You are our audience. You've been beautiful that whole time that we've been out there performing, and it's just been an absolute sheer joy, and it ain't over yet. Thank you very much. As Jules said, one of the greatest things about being a performer is being in this country, really, because the talent that comes out of this country is incredible. And all the young bands that we see every now and then, I live down in the South Island now, and I live not far from Methven, and I get to go and see all those crazy young bands that play at ski resorts and things like that. And it's amazing to see the talent that's coming out of this country. And we want to keep that up. And Jules and I have now decided in our twilight years of performing, I suppose you'd call them, every time we go out now, every time we do a big gig, we take a young kid with us on the road, or we invite them to sing with us. And we're taking the kids that win places like Gore country music, because that is the heartland of New Zealand music. Gore, the Gore gold guitar. You get to meet real families down there, and it's incredible. But there's something that you get to a point where you have to say, okay, let's help the next generation as well. But it's so amazing to see young bands in this country that are just coming out with so much talent. And without some people, bands do not exist. And that's the same for Jules and me. And we would not exist without our manager. Rani Cuthbert has been our manager for 20 odd years now. And she's the best. She rocks. She rocks. We reckon that she could probably do the show. If one of us got sick, she could probably do the show now. She's seen it so many times. And the other thing that she's done, a great thing for us, is she's just produced the Topp Twins movie, the film, the documentary. It'll be out next year. You can see the whole story on film at Rialto. And we'd like to thank you very much. But ladies and gentlemen, what we really would like to thank is our peers for acknowledging us. And we'd like to thank the New Zealand public for being there and staying with us for this whole time of our career. And as Jules said, it hasn't finished yet. And we'd like to thank the incredible team that Ant has put together for APRA and made this evening happen for us. So thanks very much, APRA. Thanks everybody here, and thanks New Zealand.